Welcome to the hippest trip on YouTube. So glad to see everybody back, and just giving you guys a little update of what's going on with new look, new branding. I'm taking a lot of feedback right now, trying to get things in order, and so that you guys can also, put your 2 cents in. This is a whole community effort, and I always appreciate hearing some feedback and trying to do something with it. Although I always feel bad because, like, if people think you don't listen to their feedback if you don't take it necessarily, and then I feel really bad. So that's what's going on with that. So let's see here for a sec. I've got to fix something on the chat here. And Spindlin, nice to see you guys. A step ahead. How are you guys doing? Thank you for joining me. I am just talking about some new stuff I'm working on, and then I want to talk about some housing alternatives. You guys know, Unirage. Hey, thanks for joining me. I've been trying to get a hold of your man, Unirage. I need some technical advice because I can't seem to get everything running the way it's supposed to run. And when I was at your house, it was working fine, but now not so much. So I don't know what's going on. I cannot for the life of me get you now to run and show the picture. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. It says I'm live, but so if you can figure out why it's saying I'm live over there, but there's no picture. So yeah, help me out with that. It's not streaming what it's supposed to be streaming, I don't think. You can see right here, boom, it's just like, that's what it looks like to me. So Unirach, if you could pass that on and maybe get an answer why that's not happening, I'd appreciate that. So we are going to talk about all kinds of stuff today. Hey, thanks Mary, thanks for joining me, Q Harris and Bree. Hi everybody. So you'll notice that maybe from the thumbnail, if you haven't seen it, that I'm starting to play with some rebranding. Let me see if I can show you that thumbnail. And no, I can't. I'll have to open it. That's kind of a big pain though. Should have probably had that ready. Sorry guys. There. So there's the new thumbnail. I actually took a recent picture because people were complaining that let me see if I shrink that down. That my YouTube picture is like 10 years old. I'm like this clean-cut looking doctor, and now I look like a beatnik hippie. So someone was calling me a caveman in the last comments, and yeah. But I don't know, again, why my hair is such a topic, but I really wanted to just grow my hair long and see what it looks like, and it's kind of come pretty far in 10 months. It's not even been a year yet. So that's going to be kind of the new header and logo. I've got a little Lupo TV going on, and I did the retro TV because I'm all retro. And I like old school, you know. It makes me happy doing with like I know some of you guys watch the show, and I always brag about this place. I live in New Hampshire, where there is a place in Laconia called Fun Spot that's been around since the 1950s, and it's the largest arcade in the world, and they have all these old video games and all this retro stuff. And so like I'm totally obsessed with this place. You can play all these 80s games and 70s games you've never even seen running in 30 years, and it still costs only a quarter. It's amazing. You go in there and get little Fun Spot tokens. It's a great place. If you're ever up in the Northeast somewhere, you should definitely make a day of it. Fun Spot's awesome. I should just get them to sponsor me. I love them so much. I brag about them constantly. Anyway, so Mary says your husband has hairs like mine. Really? Grew for a long, long time. People love to talk about his hair also. Yeah, I mean, look how famous the Ancient Alien guy got just because of his damn hair. So maybe there's something to it. That I actually saw this article that the Ancient Alien guy actually styles his hair like that. He blows like hairspray in it and stuff to make it stand straight up. This is what your hair looks like when you absolutely do nothing but dry it. I don't even comb it. I just dry it and just let it go wild. So we'll see what it looks like going wild. I do get tangles now, which is really weird. But well, for the most part, I have very little tangles, considering I take zero care of my hair. Anyway, so that's kind of the new logo I'm messing around with. I was telling you that I wanted to rebrand to Unirock. Okay, oh, I got an answer here. Unirach says, Uni said to try to restart you now. Bottom right hand corner, click the cog. He will be here after he renders the video. Okay, I'll give it a shot right now. So I wonder if I could restart it during a live stream, if it'll actually do anything. Let's see. You guys all have to be patient. I am messing with a different format here, you now. So there it is. Okay. Hopefully he can see what I'm seeing. So I'm going to restart it. Let's see how I stop it. End. Am I sure? Yes. Okay, so I had one view. Not so good. All right, let's try to go live. And the little cog. Use external streaming tool. And prepare broadcast. I think. Do I hit prepare broadcast, or what do I do, Unirach, when I get to that point? So ask him about that. I'm just going to keep going. I'll put that on hold until we can figure that out. So some of the other things I've been messing around with is I'm starting to screw with my Patreon page a little bit, and that has been interesting. Hey, Robert, I love Bulgaria. I've been to Bulgaria, and I have Bulgaria in the family. My brother's wife's Bulgarian. I don't speak it worth a darn anymore, but I have been there. Sofia. It's a lot of fun. Cool mineral springs. I went to the mineral spring baths and sat around. Bulgaria's awesome. Anyway, yes, prepare broadcast. Okay, I hit that. And then what, Rachel? Because all it does is it just says my broadcast begun, and it's a big black box again. I don't know why. I don't know what's going on, because I know it saved my key. That's what I'm seeing. So tell Unirock come fix my stuff, and I'll buy him a sandwich. Anyway, so let's see what's going on. The other thing I've been playing around with is my Patreon. Although I'm not going to send you guys there yet because it's not finished, but it is starting. I can show you a little bit of it. It is. I've actually been spending some time trying to Patreon it up, and a couple VIP stuff that you can get. I'm playing with. There's a cool cat. So I'll explain that a little coming, because I am taking serious the demonetization, and I'm going to start pushing a lot of stuff over to Patreon. Once it's up and running, I'm going to have special shows over there. I'm going to have special chats. Basically, I'm going to romance the VIP people that donate over there to show you how appreciative I am. And what will probably happen is, like most shows that are Patreon funded, there'll be like, you know, less than 1% of the people kind of subsidize it for everybody else. You know, some people will make a monthly donation because they like the show, and they'll give me some topic ideas, stuff like that. And then everybody else will kind of get to benefit from that. Of course, I would never, everything's, for the most part, still going to be free on YouTube. You don't ever have to donate a thing. But YouTube's not paying us anymore, so it's, you know, I've got to shift my model before it completely collapses and the writing's on the wall. So I've been talking to my community about this for a few weeks and getting ideas, and people are like, go to Patreon. And so that's what I'm doing. Let's see, what are we talking about here? Yeah, Rach, we're gonna have to figure this thing out. I'll have to actually I hit the cog, Rach. I hit the cog, and it said prepare broadcast or whatever, and it didn't work. It just sat there and turned to a black screen. So I don't know if the key's messed up or something. I need to screen share with Unirock sometime to see if he can help me fix this. I don't know what the problem is, but that stinks. Little Arizona, no, I don't really want to do merchandise. Nothing I have to actually spend money for and send. That stuff, I don't think anyone buys that stuff anyway. Do you guys ever buy like a t-shirt from someone? I don't really want to mess with physical stuff. What I am doing is a electronic benefits. Like some of the things I have planned are you get special privileges in the Afterglow chat. We have special chats that are just Patreon only, like video chats. Then there's Cool Cat will give you a shout out on air. Give your cat a shout out, because you guys know I'm like obsessed with cats, and my cat is also obsessed with your cat. So if you send me a cat picture, I'll stop the show and talk about your cat, or drawings of cats and kids, or if you don't have a cat, I guess any pet will do. But the priority will always be cats. So that's probably one. You pay for a bobblehead. I never thought about a bobblehead. Maybe that's pretty funny. It's just a little. So when I was in India, I don't know if you guys have been to India or whatever, but they shake their head like this, and it means yes, I understand you. It's kind of like how people here sit here and nod. They nod. So when you're talking to them, and you'll be like, you're putting an order into a waiter. Did you get that? And they'll be like, it's just like, no, you didn't get it. It looks like you're to us that they're, we shake our head no. They just bobble it kind of left and right. So I do that, and that's kind of like them understanding or agreeing. So it's very confusing when they shake their head no. They're really saying yes, and it leads to lots of hilarious hijinks. All right, so. You've considered purchasing a sticker from your favorite YouTuber. I do love stickers, but I made some stickers for my book Pirates of Savannah way back in the day, and I barely sold any of them. I had to give them away when I gave away when I sold the book. I just gave away the sticker because people are sticker saturated. It's hard to give away stickers. I mean, I don't know if I'd sell a sticker. I'd just give it away probably. But that being said, so I'm fooling with ideas on, if I'm going to stay here in Homestead a while, then I need to get excited about doing something. And there was a time where, a lot of my life I was trying to transition to off-grid. Before I got divorced, I was living out in a farm, trying to make it on my own, trying to, grow your own food, and just that experience, because I'm not a professional at it, and there's a huge learning curve, and that's kind of the fun of it. You go out and you try to hobby farm until you become, sufficient. And a lot of it is just stockpiling and having backups ready. And after that last disaster with the flood, we realized we were just like woefully unprepared. So now I spent the last week preparing. Like, we have water up the wazoo in the house. I filled every jug I can think of to fill, and we bought some. And that's a real simple prep. If people don't, they're like, oh, I'm too broke to prep. There's 2 or 3 things you can do that really cost almost nothing. Every time you finish drinking a gallon of, you shouldn't have milk, but anytime you finish, like a plastic bottle or a gallon, fill it up with water and stuff it in the house somewhere. And it's really that simple. I mean, you don't have to buy water. Just start filling things up. And that is like a practically free solution, and it stops trash. So that is a really easy start, because one of the things you're going to find out real quick when there's a disaster, you can deal without power, but dealing without water, man, it sucks. Like, if you have water, you can still flush the toilet. You can still bathe a little bit. You can drink. The pets will be all right. And when I live in a cold environment, so when the power goes out, the water goes out, and I mean, I guess you could scoop snow and try to heat it up in the house, but it sure is a lot easier right now to just fill some jugs up. Like, right now I'm making some hard cider, and we buy the apple juice, the apple cider in jugs, and I just save the jugs, and it's just a really cheap way. The other cheap way is every time you go to the grocery store, at least spend $2 to $3 on canned food. Canned food is like so easy, and it lasts forever. And best bang for the buck, beans. Beans are dirt cheap. They're already cooked in the can, so all you have to do is open them and eat them. And you can reheat them if you want pretty easily. Beans are very, very good. They have almost every vitamin you need. As far as if you were going to pick one food to live on, beans is a pretty good bet. And because greens are really hard to store. Like, obviously greens are healthier, but beans is It's an excellent choice. And you'll see a lot of the countries, you can live basically on beans and rice for a long time, and it is dirt cheap. You can buy a bag of rice for $3. Especially if you really want to go cheap and save some money, go to the Asian markets. If you live near a city, it is mind-boggling how much of a better deal you get over at the Asian stores on. Now, I'm sure the bananas and the fruit and all that stuff is imported from God knows where, like Thailand and stuff. I was eating some Thai bananas but as far as like staples, as far as like rice goes, you could buy these huge bags of rice for I think like $12, and they will last you and your family for 2 or 3 months. Really cheap solutions. When people are like, "Oh, I don't have enough money to prep. We're too broke and poor," it's like fill up water every time you go grocery shopping. Buy a few extra cans, and then buy some rice. Buy some rice. It's super cheap. Although rice can be a pain if you could get the minute rice if you want that's already almost cooked. Doesn't last as long, but it's really easy to reheat. You just throw it in a bottle, without burning too much fuel up. But again, just like canned food is so easy. So anyway, that's where we came from. I got some. Oh, hey guys, I'm sorry. I see some new people wandering in here. Yeah, $30 of ramen will last forever. And what I found out though is when you don't have power and you don't have electric, we still had propane. So if you have gas or propane in the house, usually it'll work. You might have to hand ignite it, like a little. And if you worst comes to worst, you can always go burn some wood and cook over it. But it does take energy to burn these things. So a lot of times it's best to buy things you don't have to cook. Like that's why I keep going back to canned food. It's already cooked in the can. You can literally just pop it off and eat it. But ramen is dirt cheap, but the fuel it takes to heat it is expensive. So you have to kind of weigh that out. If you got plenty of fuel, then don't worry about it. Let's see. What are we talking about? I've been looking very closely at the tiny house movement. Is it possible to buy a shed and turn it into a home, but it needs modification? Yeah, Lily, I've been examining this for a long time because I keep bouncing around. If you guys know me, my lifestyle is to live as cheap as possible to give me the most freedom. I don't want to be a slave to my mortgage or a slave to a car payment or any of that stuff. So I would rather live cheaply. One of the things you can do, like, depending on where you get it, this is what's surprising, is they have these tool sheds that you guys have probably seen whenever you go to a Lowe's or Home Depot or something like that. And they're kits. You're supposed to assemble them yourself, but for a little money, I think they'll come and assemble them for you. But what I found out is there are much cheaper ways to go on those. That Home Depot and Lowe's are pretty expensive for those things. If you drive around, you'll find some companies that only make sheds. You'll be like driving down the highway and you'll see like 50 of them sitting there. You go to one of those places, you can get a huge shed for like $2,000. And they deliver it, and it's already put together. They just literally show up with a flatbed and dump it in your house, on your backyard. You're probably talking, depending on your taste, $5,000 to $15,000 to fix it up and get it to where you could live in it. So for probably under $30,000 altogether, you could get a pretty cool tool shed house. My choice, what I'm leaning for, is originally I really want to do an earthship. And if you don't know what earthship is, it's like a underground greenhouse. Half the house is just windows and everything else is underground, and it takes no heating really. They don't use any electricity to because it's so well insulated with the earth, and the sun heats it all up. I mean, the whole thing's like just windows. You don't really have bills for to heat and cool it. So earthships are amazing to me, but the amount of labor that goes into them is insane. Like, it is insane, and it costs about as much as a regular house unless you're just going to spend years doing it yourself. It's a slow thing. I've got a few friends that at PorcFest, Ernest Hancock, you've seen him on the show. He showed up with a geodesic dome. Those have been around. The hippies have been using those things for a long time because they're unbelievably strong and they're very cheap to put up. You can make your own dome for $300, if you really want to get nice and expensive and thick tubes and stuff, you could do it for $1,000. Now the covering is going to be an extra probably $1,000 by the time you put stuff around it. But the dome is a very cheap and stable solution. They're very strong. I mean, they're if you're living like a place where there's heavy storms, you're going to be all right with a dome. The thing I've been really leaning to though is because I live up in cold climate, I think I'm going to start with a yurt. And the yurts are those Mongolian tents. They're portable, they're easy to move around, and one of my first goal is going to be just to buy like 2 or 3 acres out in the woods and stick a yurt up and see if what it's like to live off grid. Like I've got a little solar stuff ready, I've got some outdoor stuff. Maybe stick a shed out there too, just to store stuff in. But live in a yurt for a while and see what that's like. And then maybe live in a yurt while I build an Earthship over the years. I don't know. I'm really hoping that I can make a decent living on YouTube and ramp up what I make so I can start doing cool projects. And as I do them, I'm going to film them and teach everybody and show you all my mistakes. And that being said, so that's kind of what's up. Okay, so let's see what did I miss here? Yeah, we're talking about Earthships. Earthships are definitely cool. That's my first choice. It's just very... You got to have like 100 friends, which I don't. I don't know anyone here. So like, if I was like, hey, come to my Earthship party, no one would show up. I'd have to book like an event where a bunch of people showed up, and then you could make one within a month if you have a bunch of people. I like the new movement of Heg. I don't know what Hegi is. It means cozy home. Okay. Use candles, blankets, books, to create a cozy and an oasis. And also outdoor activities, friends. And yeah, Mary, that's kind of cool. It's funny how everybody's kind of like wanting to go back in time a little bit. It's hard though. Like if you go camping for a week, you're going to start itching and being like, man, I kind of miss my computer. I miss talking to my friends. I miss being online. We're so jacked up online now that there's this weird quasi people like saying, I want to live in the middle of the woods in a cabin, but I want Wi-Fi, and it's and I do. I would totally want that. Oh, geez. Jonar, thanks, man. I appreciate the donation. Thank you, Jonar Games. And I'll have to talk to you about games. I want to talk to you about that. So I've been looking at yurts, and over the years, I'll tell you what I've learned. There are different kinds of yurts, and they are... oh, look, you got the Hypno Cat. There are different kinds of yurts. The traditional Mongolian ones are kind of what everybody wants, but they're expensive because there's all this, beautiful woodwork and artwork in them. But compared to a regular house, you can get a monster yurt with an amazing, a huge yurt for an amazing build out for probably 50 grand altogether, which is basically what you would pay for kind of a new mobile home. But if you wanted to build it yourself and go cheap, you can go as little as 2 or 3 grand and live in a smaller space. It depends on what kind of space you need and what you already have, because you got to deal with heating and water. How are you going to get water in there? How are you going to get heating? How primitive do you want to go? And those are questions. Like, everybody has this romantic idea of, well, I'm just going to set up, a yurt in the woods, and then you realize, okay, well, how do I take a shower? How do I go to the bathroom? How do I do all this stuff? And between your level of comfort, there's part of it's an adventure. You got to look at living that way as an adventure. It's also self-sufficient, but that's part of the fun. How you going to figure this stuff out? How you going to put it in? And when you're sitting here going, well, do I put in a $10,000 septic system or a composting toilet for $1,000? And you're like, well, composting toilet looks pretty good, or an outhouse, So it's one of those things. Yeah, my cat clock, Daniel, he has not been running lately, and I guess I got to change out the batteries again. I must have had bad batteries because he seems to be dying a lot. Okay, Cam says, unless you live in Vermont, where public nudity is 100% legal, although it's about illegal to undress in public for some reason. Yeah, there was a lot of activism that happened in New Hampshire here about nudity, because the laws do they're very sexist. There were women who went down in Keene a few years back that did topless Tuesdays. So they were protesters where everybody was topless, the men and women. They would just hang out in the middle of Keene in the town square. It was really interesting because a lot of them are libertarians who also have guns, so it'd be like topless open carry. They would be doing 2 demonstrations at once. So yeah, there's videos of that if you go look it up on YouTube. They're all over the place under Free Keene. They did a pushback, and basically after they arrested a few people, they let it go and just said, okay, you know, I think they were afraid to go to Supreme Court on it because they know they'd lose. I mean, it's a very sexist thing that, you know, men can take off their shirts but women can't. Men can be really fat and have big breasts, and women can have no breast and they're still not allowed to do it. You know, like the hypocrisy is America is just very silly about a lot of stuff. I know people listening to this that are from other countries. It seems like we have the most Puritan, stupid laws about a lot of stuff. Like you go to jail for, you know, you're hot and you want to take your shirt off and you're a woman. And basically what it comes down to is if it is a form of protest, it's completely legal. You can be topless, or if it's a form of, you know, freedom of expression kind of thing. But if you're trying to be lewd or dancing or vulgar, then they have a problem with it. So that's where they are in New Hampshire about nudity. As far as man nudity, I don't know where that falls. I always wondered how the nudist colonies do it. It'd be an interesting interview if I ever could get to a nudist colony to find out, like, how do they skirt all the laws? Probably because it's private. I don't really know. Okay, so what are we talking about here? I keep missing what you guys are talking about. Are you responding to what Unirich said? Sorry about that. All right. And you can make a portable shower with a new pump spray, industrial-sized insecticide bottle. Oh, okay, like the old pump spray bottles that used to kill insects with. You know, but what's interesting, Little Arizona, is they have made these camping showers that are, you just hook them up to a propane, and you fill it up with water. You know, like the same things the 20-gallon tanks you put on your grill. And they have like a little privacy tent shower thing, and you take a shower in there all day long, and you have hot water. It's great. You just have to fill it up. I mean, you fill it up with like 5 gallons of water. But that thing, and I believe they're under $100. So you could do an outdoor showering system pretty cheap. Now in the summer, I mean in the winter in a yurt, I'd probably figure out how to drain that outside and just, you know, hook that thing up. So there are cheaper ways to do it depending on your... And I think that's part of the fun too. I think it would be fun to just go in and try it and live stuff, you know, try to live as free as you can out there. And it's a transition because people, it's so funny if you listen to like these hipsters that are like, yeah, man, I'm going to go off grid. They think they can just like throw seeds on the ground and, you know, come back in 6 weeks and just, you know, a few months and there's going to be food to eat. They don't realize that people spend their entire lives learning how to garden and farm, and for their area especially too, that, you know, the little old granny that's in a in the garden club is like one of the most useful people to know in a disaster. Like I always thought it'd be funny if like the power grid went down, how important these little old ladies would become. You know, like everybody would try to pick these farming women out, because within a few months you'd have to start growing food. Even if you stockpile a year of food, okay, what do you do after that? You still got to learn how to grow food. And right now you have the opportunity to experiment when there's no problems. So even if it's small, you know, you're like, oh, I can't really grow anything. I live in an apartment. You know what? Yeah, you can still sprout. You can still grow a bed of lettuce inside. You can grow something. There's really no excuse. You can try to learn how to grow. Like, you'd be amazed at how great sprouts are for you, and they're really easy. You can grow them in a jar. So you can practice growing stuff now before it's a problem. All right, so Jornor says I should visit an Amish uh, colony. Yeah, you'd probably get some pretty neat ideas. Although it's funny how these days Amish are kind of, they're getting to the point where they're starting to cheat a lot. Like they have solar power and they have things like like that now. Miss Waffle says, "What is a yurt?" A yurt is. Let me see if I can show you a picture. I'll show you a picture. And these are some local builders around me that build yurts, and you can get an idea. These are what hand ones look like, where they're not all fancy from a factory. These people build them and sell them here in New Hampshire. You can get a little idea. They're pretty simple, these kind. And what they are, they're a lattice of rafters. And oh, here's a better example of what they look like. So they have like a accordion style wall, and then you attach the rafters to it with a ring in the middle, and you get a better idea what the ring looks like here. And then they cover it with different layers of sheets to keep it warm and to make it waterproof. You can get an idea here what these people charge for the yurts. And of course, everything if you buy it new, you're always, everything you add, like insulation and a fancy roof ring or a skylight, everything gets more and more expensive. That's why I'm saying you can go anywhere from, if you were just living by yourself, instead of getting like a camper, you could get one of these things, and they're pretty affordable, especially if you can buy them used. Like I'm looking at a used one. If I had enough money, I'm considering maybe cashing in some Bitcoin and buying a used one right now, because you rarely see them come out used. Now you do have to build like a footing platform for them if you want to stay anywhere long term. And they look kind of small in these pictures, but they're actually, they can be gigantic inside. So that's a yurt. Hopefully you guys can get an idea. And these are here in New Hampshire. They actually build them. There's a company called Pacific, I think, something Pacific, that is really it's a lot more expensive, but they're nice. They're super nice. They have like windows, and they're practically a house. Now here's the issues. Daniel says privacy issues. Oh, let me jump. Man, I missed a bunch of questions here. Okay, James Cox says he saw a video on YouTube where a water hose was coiled in a compost heat, and then the water was hot. I came out to take a shower with. Oh, James, yeah. There is actually a guy, I think in the 70s, I looked into this too, that used compost to heat his entire house. So he had this gigantic 20-foot compost pile, like 30 feet from his house. And he ran copper metal coils inside all the compost, and it brought hot water into the house. So he had like an exchange where cold water went out and hot water went in. And he heated his floors. He used it as a hot water. And he used it also as a hot water tank. So the entire place was heated by compost. It's a really ingenious idea, but I would imagine, with compost, it stinks for like a month, and then after that, once the top kind of corrodes over, it doesn't stink anymore. So as long as you don't disturb it. Daniel says privacy issues. Yeah, with a yurt, you can definitely, it's like living in a tent. You can hear everything around you. The idea is to kind of do this more a little off-grid, where you're not next to people. It's a cheap way to get onto land compared to building a house. Way cheaper than building a house. And if you don't like it, you can pick it up and move it. Where unless you live in a mobile home, that's kind of hard to do. And you can build a yurt in like 2 hours, depending on how fancy it is. But I've seen yurts go up really fast. Okay. Let's see. One important thing when cooking and heating is the threat of carbon poisoning. Oh, the threat. I bet he means threat of carbon poisoning. Yeah, you got to be careful when you're messing with wood, but like a yurt is so oxygen open, the whole thing breathes. You got a better chance than like a lockdown house. Also, get a CO alarm. they run on batteries. You don't even need power. I have for like $40, you can buy one with a ultra lithium battery. It lasts 10 years. So you can get a fire alarm and a carbon monoxide. And I am a huge advocate of getting a carbon monoxide detector. My life was saved by a carbon monoxide detector. When I was in chiropractic school, I I lived in this beat up old trailer, and it was the cheapest way I could think of to live downtown in Atlanta, as I was living at this mobile home park. And this trailer is like from the 70s, and it actually, the box on the furnace burned through, and some oxygen was getting in, and it was burning oxygen instead of fuel. And one night, my CO detector started beeping off the chain. It was beep, 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 woke me up, and I was like, oh my God, I have the worst headache. What is going on? I go out, and it's over 100 on the thing. I get outside, and I'm like really dizzy, and I'm basically like crawling outside and call the fire department, and they come in there and air the whole place out and shut the furnace off. But if it had not been for that, I probably would have slept right through it and died. Carbon monoxide detector, man, get one. They're if you even if you have a gas furnace in your house, man, they save my butt. So I'm a big fan of them. Okay. Hang a blanket in the center of the room for a soundproof blanket. Yeah, you'd be surprised. This is something I learned from some musicians, that they go and get a special kind of foam that breaks up the walls. You'll see that. But what I found out is that blankets are actually much better at deadening sound than anything. That they because of the way the surface area is or something, blankets can really reduce sound to hang them on walls. So, where's Burma today? She is at work. She is working during the week. She's always invited on the show, but why I'm trying to do earlier shows in the afternoon. I don't really like doing late night shows, so I'm trying to build that audience up in the daytime more. So she probably won't be able to make it unless I'm doing weekends. Cam Good. I never really thought about that. Makes a lot of sense. Compost gets hot amazingly. Yeah, compost's a great idea, Now you got to find compost. Like if you don't have livestock, it's kind of. I guess you could just rake all the leaves out of the woods or whatever. But but once you get it in, it's a brilliant idea. I love it. Okay. Jarrell says Tara needs to buy a KFC internet privacy dome and live in that. It's like a yurt, but smaller and KFC branded. Yeah, because a vegetarian, that makes sense. Let me push out Kentucky Fried Chicken. I did live in Marietta, Georgia, where they have the big chicken. And let me see if I can find a picture of it real quick. The big chicken. If you guys don't know what that is, the big chicken. Marietta. All right, let me find an image. So it is a KFC, but they put a gigantic chicken that clucks on the top of it. Here's some images of it. So you can see that there's like a KFC store. And these giant chickens. And the eyes spin and they cluck. Yeah, it's crazy. So it was... it's been in Marietta forever, man. The big chicken. So... yeah, that's pretty much how I'm going to design it, Jarrell. I'm going to make a big chicken yurt. That'll be good. Tiny houses, James Cox says, tiny houses or maybe school bus might be a cheaper alternative than a yurt. Yeah, you can do a lot with a school bus. I like them, but at that point, I might as well just buy a used RV or a camper. They're the cheapest way to go. Just get a used one. And, people... but a camper's like insulated with nothing. It's ridiculous how cold they get in the winter. The reason I like the yurt is that it is it's more my style. It's definitely more. I like being around nature, and you can. To me, it would be like if you enjoy camping but living that way. Like I would really kind of dig that. And worst comes to worst, if it doesn't work, I can always just pack it up and sell the thing. It's not the end of the world. It's nothing permanent. Or Earthship, you can't really pack that up and and take it somewhere. So, but I think ultimately I want to make an Earthship. That is the coolest idea. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, let me see if I find pictures of an Earthship. They are so brilliant. They're like greenhouses built into the ground. With you're actually growing food inside the thing, and they are just so cool. And one of these days, I'm gonna make one. So here's what they kind of look like. These are more desert ones. They also have cold weather ones too, but they are just they're dug into the ground. Let's see if I can blow a picture up here. So they're well, this isn't a very good example. Usually they're cut into the ground, and then they have solar panels and windows on one side. Let me see if I find a better example. Typical. Here's kind of what I was. A little more realistic. So they got solar panels all facing. They all face south. The actual house is into the hill, and it collects water. The runoff. They collect their own water from rainwater. The light is situated where in the winter it heats and in the summer it stays cool because they create like an overhang. And all this is indoor greenhouses, which, I love to grow plants. I would love to be able to grow my own stuff. Now, when you start, though, they usually use tires. So they pack tires with dirt because they hold a lot of surface heat. Man, the words, I can't think of the word, but they retain heat, from the earth. And then they build the front facade on these things. And some people really deck them out. Like you can see, this one is all out of old cans and bottles that they used with sod. There's some very cool Earthships. It's one of these dreams that one of these days before I get too old, I'm going to have one. Tiny home, the problem with tiny homes, they're very cool looking, but man, are they expensive. Like, I'm sitting here and these guys are all proud that they live in this 10 by 10 thing, and they're like, yeah, we only spent $30,000 making this. And I'm like, $30,000? I could buy a kick butt RV for $30,000, Like, to me, if I weighed it out, I would always go with the RV, man. I don't understand, unless it's just like a nuance that you want to, it's like a kitsch thing that you want to live in a small home and, but I think they're incredibly expensive for what they are. I think I would rather have, for the money, like a little more space, like a yurt or or just even a cool RV. Yeah, James Cox says, Earthships are awesome. Let me know when you decide to build one. If I could get enough support from this community, I would build a small one. Like, spend 10 grand and do it, and we could have parties where we build it over a year. Like, everybody comes to the property for a weekend, and I'll put you up, and we'll pound some tires, and then, do that over and over if I could get enough support. But right now, like I said, I don't have any friends up here, man. So, like, I don't have real life friends exactly that would help that much. Even though I live in a pretty cool Liberty community, I live so far north that I'm not tied into anybody. But it's just one of those ideas. I think I would like to try to at least make a tiny one to see the process, how hard it is. And then maybe just rent it on Airbnb. So there were some other ideas I had was, I would love to make a living on YouTube, but maybe also with some of the money, if I could learn how to make a yurt or put a yurt up for reasonably inexpensive, I could probably put a second and third one up and rent them out as Airbnbs. And it would be more than enough to pay for the property and all the yurts. I think it's such a unique experience that people would stay there on a B&B. Like up here where I live, there's not that many B&Bs, and there's Airbnbs. There's not that many, and there's a big demand because I live in like one of the best places to ski in the East Coast. I live right next to some really neat mountains. There's a lot of skiers up here in the winter. So I think maybe Airbnb and some yurts would be a good idea if in the future. I don't know. Just thinking about that. I live in the mountains, the White Mountains of New Hampshire, James. So it's Okay, Jonar says, "What is Airbnb?" Okay, so bed and breakfast. Those are the, those are everywhere in the world where somebody will rent a room or two of their house or all the rooms and they live there and they come and they take care of people and it's like a mini hotel. Well, what happened was about I can't remember how old is Airbnb? Like 10 years. A few years ago, people started using this service called Airbnb, which is internet, where people were literally renting out their couches or renting out their spare rooms, and they started competing with all these B&Bs that are traditional, and they were just able to undercut them a lot. So somebody would have a spare room in their house, and they live near a beach. They would say, we never use this room. Let's make some money, and they would rent it to, people off the internet. So it's just an idea that I would like to maybe make. I had a few. All right, this is my daydreaming stuff, but here's another idea I had. Was I always had this urge for like 20 or 30 years to start a community. I thought it would be fun to have like a little eco community, um, but I've never really realized that dream. But I thought there's this thing called the Appalachian Trail, and if you guys know what that is, it is a hiking trail that runs all the way down the east coast of the USA. So it starts in Maine and goes all the way to Georgia, I think. And it is a hiking trail where people will go on and they will hike for 6 months straight on this thing. They'll call them through hikers. They go all the way down. But there's a lot of people that can't do that, that just go out for a week or a few days. But I thought maybe of buying a property close to that because it goes right through New Hampshire, and maybe I could build it close enough to the Appalachian Trail that hikers would come and stay at like primitive spots, where I could build small little earthships or small yurts or something like that where hikers could come in, stay there, and leave for cheap. Make it kind of almost very, very primitive. Since they're used to hiking and sleeping on the ground, they'd be probably happy to get out of the rain. Try out their stuff. But I thought that would be kind of a neat idea. And then slowly use that to build lots of little alternative homes and just try them out. Like build a yurt, build an earthship, build a cod house, build a dome. And just try out all these little things and let people like campers and people like Airbnb to stay there and see what they're like. Ultimately, it'd be a really neat dream. I wish I could do that. It's just I have to manifest it. I gotta get focused and decide that I'm gonna have to want to stay in one place in order to do that. But I thought it'd be really neat to just like start a little community to where people could, even if they don't live there, they could come and visit for the summer and hang out. We could have events and try to do like a little ME Fest or something like that. I thought it'd be really neat. Or people would maybe use it for meetings or get married, like a little event place, but keep it very primitive, where it's all pretty much off grid. And then people who come in could, pitch in. So say you're a hiker and you don't have any money. Well, if you're willing to do a few hours and pound some towers to build an earthship, you're welcome to stay. Like trade out labor. And we'll just keep making earthships and making little communities like that by using labor of people coming. Honestly, be like, hey, you want to stay for a week and learn how to do this so you can make your own someday. Teach classes, that sort of stuff. I think it'd be a neat transition in my life to do that. I've always kind of kept it in the back burner, but I just, it seems so far out there. I'd have to start so small. It's just like, let me get a yurt and a piece of land. see what that's like first. But I always thought it'd be pretty neat. Okay, so what am I missing here? Merry morning. We go to an old campground every year that the owner has turned into a mecca for Jeeps and ATVs. Yeah, there's a place up here called Gorham that rebranded their whole town as like the ATV Central. I'm trying to get Vicky to come down. Vicky, if you're listening. Vicky's a ATV junkie. And Gorham has a bunch of festivals around it where you can just go out in the White Mountains and drive around these four-wheelers. So it'd be pretty neat. Also know that someone who has bought another campground has turned it into a pagan community complete with a Stonehenge replica. Wow, really? That would be pretty neat, man. Uh, yeah, Little Arizona. Say, Little Arizona's like a trucker, and say that you wanted to take off a few months and just park. I would have a community where you could park and stay there, and people coming through as long as you just trade out some work and help build some homes, and then you can learn how to build your own. And so it's a trade-off not only of labor but of knowledge. You'd learn. Now, of course, I need to get up to speed and learn how to build these things, but I will. I'm a smart guy. I figure it out, and trial and error. And I will make YouTube videos about every step of the way, so wherever you are in the world, you can learn from me. And of course, there's all these experts that know way more than I do about it. But when you watch someone like me do it and screw up and make mistakes and laugh and figure stuff out, it helps because everybody else is like an expert and I'm not. So that's it. All right, Georgia Guidestones. Daniel Becker. Yeah, the Georgia Guidestones, that's a whole nother thing if you guys don't know what that is. But I did have a crazy friend of mine, Brooke. There's supposedly something buried at the Georgia Guidestones at a spot. And they broke into the place and dug to find what was buried under the Georgia Guidestones. They made a little film out of it. And they found, guess what? Nothing's there. They didn't find anything, and they were all pissed off because there's all these rumors that there was something in the ground, and no one found anything, and they almost got arrested, federally arrested. They got out of there. I don't think they ever got caught, but well, yeah. Buy a campground. Oh man, I would love to buy a campground. There's one I love up north that is for sale for a few $1 million, but I don't want. Whew. Unless you guys really want to Patreon me for a few $1 million. I don't know how that's going to happen right now. I really just need to manifest me winning the lotto, because I'm the kind of guy that if I won the lotto, I would pretty much live the same lifestyle I am now. A little nice, maybe a little nicer, just so it's not so stressful. But you'd never see me, I would pretty much use all that money to do cool stuff. I wouldn't go buy a plane and, Hummers and whatever the hell. That's just, I'm not a material guy like that. I'd rather buy land and do cool stuff. Okay. Yeah, it helps that my husband used to be a contractor back in the day. Heck yeah, because I am only only thing I'm pretty good with is plumbing. Everything else I'm not so good with. So for some reason I'm blessed with plumbing. I must have been a plumber in the last few lives or something, because I really enjoy plumbing, but I suck at masonry and I suck at framing, and I want to get better at that stuff, but I'm just not very good at it. $100 billion. Yes. There you go, Cam. Off topic. Scott Harrison got a video about the I can't ever say this. Mandanimal Rhino now. It's crazy. Go check it out for yourself. Freemasonry. That's right, Freemasonry. That's it. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. I think realistically, I'm gonna start by saving up any extra money I have to maybe get like a small van or a camper, then a small piece of land, then build a yurt, then move into or ship, and over the years just kind of scale it up. Do it in stages, and then just rent everything else that I don't have. There's a wonderful van right now I want to buy, and I'm trying to wrestle if I want to spend some Bitcoin and get it. I don't really need it right now, but the price is amazing, and it's so low mileage. It's like $39,000. It's like a whole camper van. It would be awesome for traveling, but it would cost me about half my Bitcoin, and I'm not sure if I want to do that. I have to see what Bitcoin's up to these days. Yeah, I think, James, if I had a large enough audience, he's saying maybe you could do a Kickstarter in Indiegogo to buy some land and make Earthships and HUD. I would seriously consider that. I mean, I don't think it would take me more than maybe 20 grand to get my foot in the door. 10 for land, 5 for improvements, 5 for a yurt, something small like that. And just kind of get it started from zero. And then after that, see where it goes. But yeah, PC Henderson, look into aircrete. Aircretes are really cool. If you guys don't know what aircrete is, it is concrete they mix with like foam, and it makes these super light, strong blocks. The downside of aircrete is I'm told that it is not good in cold climates. That it doesn't have very good R value, which I would think it would because there's a bunch of air bubbles in it. But supposedly it does not. Like it's more for like building in deserts and in hotter environments. I think aircrete's really neat. It's almost like making structures out of styrofoam, but they're concrete. They're huge, and they've been around for a little while. And there are some companies and people selling kits that you can make your own and take classes in aircrete and all that. It's pretty neat. Yeah, it seems like it wouldn't be good in cold climates, and that's the downside. Is I really want to stay north. I don't want to move too south. I really like the mountains. I mean, my yard looks like a damn postcard. You step out and there's this beautiful mountain range and trees and bears and moose, and I mean it's hard to give that up. Although I did enjoy traveling and going to the beach and seeing some stuff and running around, I would eventually like to get that down. Okay, James Cox says, if you don't try doing a campaign, you'll never know. Yeah, maybe that's, James, that's a really interesting idea. Maybe if I made a really well-produced video, explain exactly what I want to do, people would kickstart it, and I would film every step of the way on how to do it, and show it all, and make it a learning video for other people that kind of want to do it. So, Little Arizona says, yeah, aircrete is crappy for cold climates, and that's another thing. I also looked into sod houses and hay built homes, and I don't think there's that good at cold climates either, but I could be wrong because I guess they do have cod all over England, cod houses and adobe houses, and well, no, adobe's in the desert. Cob is what I'm trying to say. C-O-B, cod, not like a fish. Cob, C-O-B. Yeah, all right, there we go. But my friend Ernest Hancock keeps playing with geodesic domes, and they're very cheap if you build them yourself. Like he was doing them for, like he brought this huge one to PorcFest that he spent $300 making. So I think they just basically got like an old parachute and stuck it on top of this frame. And yeah, I mean that's like the most basic thing, but I also think the yurt has more of a just a cool style. I like the yurt. Even though it's more expensive than a dome and it's not as strong, it just feels more groovy to me. I don't know. There's something about that. Okay. The one they blow over inflated domes can be set underground. Oh, Reverend Hall, I think he's talking about that they have domes that are basically made of plastic. They look like, they almost look like those balls that people are trapped in, and they roll them around for fun. They're like bouncy big plastic balls. People are making like air domes where they just fill it with air. It looks like kind of like an igloo made of plastic with a big airspace in between. I don't know what they cost. I've never looked into them. Yeah, Joan R. says if you move to North Canada, you could build it with pure snow. Yeah, they do make ice-built hotels and stuff. The cheapest material ever. James Cox says cob houses are great and straw bale is awesome and retains heat no matter where you live. I didn't think you could do straw because I thought that snow sitting on there like ruins it. That it's very sensitive to water. So I'm not sure, James, but I don't know. That could just be my own self and not... I'm not saying that with any sort of knowledge. I don't know much about that land. I do think the building concept's really neat, and straws... the idea of making... if you don't know what we're talking about, straw bale houses are where they literally take big squares of hay and stack them up and then put like cob around them or stone or like stucco sort of stuff around them. So you have these super thick insulated walls of straw. but I have never actually seen it done. Cam says New England is one of the most beautiful places in the world. Northern New England. I never had a desire to leave. I didn't know you were up here. Cam, you're up in New England? Give me a holler, man. I could use a real life friend. It'd be cool. Yeah, I live in one of the most beautiful places in New England, for sure. I think New Hampshire, parts of New Hampshire are way prettier than Vermont. Like everybody's like, oh, go to Vermont. And it's like, no, man, New Hampshire's way prettier. So, especially where I live, out in the White Mountains. Although I'm considering you can get really cheap land if I go far north, right on the border of Canada. Like if I'm willing to go another 2 hours north, hour and a half or so north into the mountains, I can get really, really cheap land. But I am, like, there's nothing out there. I mean, I would have to solely work, like right now, most of my money's on the internet, but I do see some patients here and there. But I would really have to work kind of. I'm gonna have to make this YouTube really work before I could do that. Make sure it works. And again, I'm moving over to Patreon to protect me from YouTube. So no matter what whims they have, I can still have a Patreon community just support me directly instead of just whatever some random algorithm decides to change something and all of a sudden you're making a quarter of the money you made last week. So it's just so unstable, and it's hard to move forward when you're counting on that. It's like having a job in real estate where you're going house to eat. You go for 3 months to not sell anything and then you sell like 3 houses. So it's one of those deals that is so out of my control. I really would like to move over to Patreon and start just really blowing up my Patreon page to build a community that supports me so I can do all these cool things and not worry about YouTube's whims. So that's what I'm hoping. James Kopp, I really like Lancaster. Lancaster is like the last large city before you go really far north, and it is one of the best deals. There's a cheaper town called Berlin, which is about a half hour out of Porkfest. When you went up to Porkfest, James, it's about a half hour away. Berlin is super cheap, but it's like a rundown factory town. If you go more into the woods, like towards Lancaster or Stark, the House of Stark is out there, and you can do well. Yeah, Cam says like Pittsburgh, New Hampshire. One rented a cabin there when I was a kid. Pittsburgh is about the last city in the United States, or town, I should say, not city, town. After Pittsburgh, it's just nothing but wilderness to Canada. So there's a couple like people that have cabins out in the wilderness and stuff, but Pittsburgh's right on there. I have not been there yet, and it is on my plan. Van Roos. Could also do a weekly what I eat on a vegetarian diet vlogs. Yeah, I mean, when I'm eating healthy, I'd say I'm eating like 60-70% healthy. Where I lose my weight and where I do stuff is fasting. If you guys don't know, I eat every other day. And then, like 2 days ago or something, I had a slice of pumpkin pie and I didn't worry about it. It's the holidays. I want a damn piece of pumpkin pie. But if like you're gonna eat healthy, there's lots of dishes I know that, because I was a huge meat eater, and so I need that. And I really didn't even like vegetables that much. So when I switched over to vegetarian, it was kind of for health reasons. And then I started learning how to cook stuff that tasted good to me. And if you use mushrooms right and you cook them well, you can trick your brain into thinking you're eating meat, stuff like that. So it helped me jump over. Okay. Let's see. James Cox. I have some ideas on how to make money. Sorry, how we can make money to make this happen, along with a Kickstarter campaign. Let me know if you want to talk about it. Hell yeah, that'd be fun. Mary Morning. When did I go vegetarian? I went, gosh, it's over 3 years now, I think. I was a huge meat eater, and then, I'm not trying to be too graphic, but meat really messed my gut up. I would eat it, and I could not use the bathroom correctly for a while. And it took me a while to realize that it was meat and oil, heavy oil. Oh man, oil really messes me up. So meats and grease just did me in, and greasy cheeseburgers and stuff like that. So I cut it out originally to fix my gut up because I was really sick. I almost died with gut problems. And then when I got off that stuff, it helped tremendously. And now I can't even imagine like eating that way. It would gross me out at this point. So I mean, not that when I smell a steak it still smells good, but it was just so unhealthy for me to eat that stuff. So now, like, the worst thing I might eat is, like I said, a piece of pie or some chips. It's no longer like a greasy cheeseburger or something. It's helped a lot, and I'm able to actually. Although originally I put on a lot of weight as a vegetarian because I went more eating carbs instead of meat, and now I found a way to control that and lose weight and feel a lot better eating it. And if I had just like stuck with a healthy vegetarian diet and not so much a junk food vegetarian, if I was eating more raw salads and stuff like that, it would never have been a problem. But it's hard to make that stuff exciting for me after eating like a standard American diet. You're like, man, this is kind of bland. So, but over the years, I've gotten much better at finding healthy foods that I actually like and that taste good. It's just in the beginning there was a lot of hunt and peck. All right. Let's see. Hey, James just finished his 72-hour water fast. Good job, my man. Way to go. All right. Cam says, I recently changed my diet to mostly vegetables, and I never felt better. I used to eat ridiculous amounts of meat and cheese. Yeah, meat and cheese, man. Cheese is really, it's so addicting and it's so good, but it's so bad for you. Oh my God, is it so bad for you. So, yeah, getting off cheese is just huge right there. Like, there was a while where I was still eating cheese. Like, we'd have pizzas and stuff. And, yeah, that's vegetarian, but the cheese is just so bad for you. And then I'd feel like crap for 2 days after we ate pizza. So now I don't even mess with any of that stuff. I just kind of changed my diet. If I do a pizza, it's like they actually sell, like Daya makes a pizza that's, it's not as good as real pizza, but when you haven't had pizza in 2 years, it's pretty damn good. It's like vegetable cheese and stuff. All right. Yeah, Merry Morning. I always liked meat, so I loved bacon and ham and all that stuff and steaks. I liked meat, but I always had like, for the first thing it was my health, but then later on it became more of, I feel better as a person not eating it in a sense. And I'm not trying to judge you guys because I've been a meat eater for so long. I'm not trying to point fingers, but I had a major disconnect where, like, I would go to a petting zoo and be like, these animals are so cute, and I want to play with the baby calves, and then we'd stop and get a burger afterward, and it was like, man, what's wrong with me that I just went and talked about how cute these guys are, and then I'm going to eat one of them, and there was this huge disconnect, and you always know that your meat's being made from an animal, but you don't want to think about it because you really enjoy the taste of bacon or the taste of steak, and I would just kind of it's like, don't tell me where it's from. Let me just enjoy my meal. And then, like, if you would ever take a minute and watch like a slaughterhouse video, you would never eat meat again or go visit one. It's just so freaking wrong, man, how it's done. So I transitioned originally for health, but later on I became more of it. It just felt like better vibration for me not to eat sentient beings. And so, but I don't try to get preachy and tell people they're bad if they eat meat and all that, because I ate meat for 40 years. It'd be pretty hypocritical to be pointing the finger. But personally, I feel much better because I can eat my food without that hidden guilt in the back of my mind that something had to die to feed me. It's like, so that's what it is. Jonar, day 10, I was thinking about food every minute. Oh, Jonar, I must have missed something. Did you do a really long fast? Wow, you fasted 14 days? Wow. Yeah, when I went to day 10, what happens is, all right, if you're doing large fasts, you'll feel like crap in the beginning. Then you hit a euphoria as you start to burn fat. And then you'll kind of go through waves where you'll feel great for 3 or 4 days, and then you'll hit a bunch of toxins dump in your blood, and you feel like crap. And you go through this stuff, and when your appetite returns, when you start thinking about food all the time, your body wants you to end the fast. It's like, okay, you've done this long enough. Good job this time. Do it again later. So you kind of have to listen to your body. When you start thinking about food all the time, your body's done. End your fast. Now, I'm not saying that in the first day or two, because in the first day or two, you're going to think about food all the time. But I am talking about like day 7 and 8, if you're constantly thinking about food, because when you're really in a good fast, you don't think about food that much. It's there, but you're busy on other stuff. Like, yeah. So, oh wow, Van Rose, you've been veggie 14 years. Yeah, and I'm almost vegan. The problem I have with the vegan is I know I should probably go the full step, but I still like, once in a while I just want to eat some bread. Or I'll get some like chips that have, cheese powder on it or something when I'm on the road or traveling or something. And it's not the healthiest crap, I know that. And I'm eating less and less of it, which is good. But I still have it once in a while. And it's just like, I guess I could probably go all the way and get rid of it. But then it's like, this bread was made with butter and eggs or a pancake or something. And it's tough to completely go vegan. And where I live, if I lived in a city, I could go to vegan restaurants and it wouldn't be a big deal. But here it's like you pretty much socially isolate yourself if you completely go vegan. It's hard. And then you got to be worried about, when you're at the restaurant, did they just cook your hash browns on the same thing they cooked all the bacon on, the same griddle? Like, are you getting cross-contamination of grease, meat juice and stuff? And like, it's really hard not to be vegan and eat out. I should have Vegan Warrior on here to talk about it, because he's much better. I'm just happy being vegetarian because it's almost too damn hard to be vegan for me. I don't know, but I'm like 90% vegan. I mean, I rarely eat eggs but the only thing I kind of eat is ghee. I eat butter. And I eat clarified butter because it doesn't have any casein, so it doesn't set me off. Dairy messes me up, so the only thing I really mess with is ghee. If you guys don't know what ghee is, it's like Indian butter, where they cook it and clarify it. It's really quite tasty to cook with, and it's a lot healthier than regular butter. It has a lot more omega-3 to omega-6 balance. If you're going to keep eating meat, that's a better choice than butter. Ghee. Potatoes. There's people on here, go look at YouTube, that eat like their main diet's like potatoes, and they do fine because they don't load it with a bunch of butter. They don't load it with sour cream and bacon. If you eat just like a potato, really not that big of a deal. It doesn't slow you down that much metabolism-wise. Mary says, it's best not to limit yourself too much. That way you don't feel restricted. I've been vegetarian for 22 years and I don't feel like I'm missing anything. Yeah, I think it's Mary is, wow, you've been a long vegetarian. I think it's just because I was in the transitional phases of the first few years that you try to take all your favorite foods and make vegetarian versions of them. Like, one of the things I miss the most is, my favorite meal was corned beef. I loved corned beef. And, I know there's supposedly a vegetarian version of it. I've never tried it. But again, it's still processed crap. I mean, you're just changing processed meat to processed vegetables, which is better, but not the best thing to do is get off all the processed crap, and that's a transition. Like, I would like to move back to, there was a time I was probably 75% raw and I felt great. I just haven't got there yet. I've been kind of in a weird place in my life and I've not focused on it. Perhaps this winter I'll start moving back into that. That's all. Let's see. All right. I can't keep up with you guys now. I don't see. It's weird. The chat's not working on the main thing, so I'll just read them. I don't know why the chat stopped. But I eat Greek yogurt about every day. It's not healthy. It's healthy, not just because of the protein, but calcium, but also has probiotics, which is the key to good health. But Cam, I will say this, that a lot of people are very sensitive to dairy and don't know it. So it's for them to eat yogurt for the probiotics is actually they're inflaming their gut nonstop. so they're making the probiotics impossible to work because they have an inflamed gut because they're sensitive to the casein protein. What I usually tell patients is to switch over to the coconut. If they really like yogurt, they have like coconut versions or soy versions that aren't as hard to digest, because many people are very sensitive to dairy. A lot of people can't do casein at all. So to promote yogurt as a health food is kind of a disservice to a lot of people here in the States, because they all have inflamed guts and leaky gut, and because the standard American diet is like a one-way course to insulin resistance and leaky gut and gut problems. So by eating yogurt, if you're sensitive to that stuff, it just keeps it inflamed the whole time. So just take the casein out of it. Go switch over to like a coconut-based yogurt. I supplement my crappy diet with minerals and pills. And better than nothing. Sometimes you got to do that. Factory-raised dairy is almost as bad. It all comes down to, yes, like, I should have just a whole show called organic grass-fed diabetes. Like, you can still get insulin resistance eating all this gluten-free, diabetic, gluten-free, free-range stuff. It still causes problems, just less. They're not latent with chemicals, but some of these things are very inflammatory. Like, your gut's really not supposed to eat meat. It's incredibly hard to digest it and to get much out of it. So, and especially if you have an inflamed gut already, and you're adding dairy every day because you don't know you're sensitive to it or allergic to it, you will stay sick, your most of your adult life. You'll just be sick, and you won't know why. You'll always be snotty. You'll wake up every morning with a stuffed nose. Your eyes will be swollen for no reason. Your skin will start itching for no reason. All those are kind of food and sensitivity things usually. And you find out after you go on a week fast or something, and then come back out and try it. You'll find real quick that the minute you have a piece of cheese, you get all mucousy again, and your eyes kind of itch and stuff like that. You can find out if you're sensitive just by removing it long enough and adding it back. Okay, how did we get into all this? I was just talking about yurts. This is where the conversation goes, and the new look of the show. The changes are coming. I'm hoping, and this is something I want to throw out to you guys. Hopefully you understand my logic with Patreon is I don't want to have to count on YouTube for my paycheck. I'd rather be funded by a community so it's more steady. I get feedback but I also don't want to alienate my YouTube audience. I don't want to be like, I don't care about you guys, I only care about Patreon. I need to figure out how to balance it where, I'm very, very grateful that people, who on earth in this day and age really takes time to donate money, like your own money, to a show? It's so rare, there's 1% of people maybe do that sort of thing. And I want to make sure that these people realize that they're very special and appreciated, but I also don't want to alienate my own YouTube audience and be like, piss on all you. I'm only going to pay attention to the Patreon people. So I need to figure out that balance, because I'm always, besides special like Patreon things that they're paying like to do a show just for Patreon people, like 90% of my stuff's going to be always free. You don't have to. But there might be a few exclusive things I throw to the Patreon crowd that you can't see unless you do want to, become a Patreon. So I don't know. I'm trying to figure out how to keep that balance. Daniel Becker, is YouTube shutting down everyone's money? Sort of. They're just very. My money dropped in half, and then down to a third of what it was like 4 months ago. So now my audience has gone down a little bit because I don't do so much Mandela stuff and I'm not very active on my YouTube channel, but that doesn't account for that kind of drop in income. It's deeming a lot of stuff as not family friendly or inappropriate now, and some creators, like I keep my show PG-13, but some creators are really foul-mouthed and they cuss the whole time. They're getting, like, all their videos are getting demonetized because family-friendly stuff doesn't want to advertise on them. And they might be talking about, growing vegetables, and they're dropping the F-bomb everywhere, which is out there on YouTube. So, like, I didn't take it bad of a hit as most of my friends did, because I keep my show kind of family-friendly anyway. But my friends who didn't keep stuff family-friendly are really hurting. They are not doing well. So, what Losty says, do what you need to do, and some of us will still be here for you. And again, I just want to figure out how to make that dance to make sure the Patreon people feel special, but I also don't want to alienate my YouTube crowd. I gotta figure out how to balance that right, and really just focus like for 6 months to a year on building that Patreon so I can escape this ups and downs with YouTube. And I could do lots of cool stuff. I mean, if you guys donate a little money, man, like we were talking about, like the Yurt project and stuff like that, we could do some cool stuff on here. Really cool. I could get back on the field and start filming stuff. Right now, it's, I just don't get out that much because I haven't had a chance. Yeah, and Daniel Becker says, yeah, but it's happening to everyone, political or not. Daniel, the thing about the political and the news is YouTube advertisers don't want to advertise in front of news because they don't want to be associated with people talking about the stuff, the negative things on the news. So there's a lot of, like, almost every conspiracy channel has been just destroyed because all they talk about is news and conspiracy stuff, My buddy Unirox really took a hit over there because they always talk about false flags attacks and stuff like that. And unfortunately, the real news, that stuff that's important to be out there, is going to be demonetized to where they cannot make a living on YouTube. But what they can do is still use YouTube as a platform and take it off, like I'm going to do with. I'm going to do a combination of things away from YouTube. And it sucks. YouTube, if you're listening, it sucks. I don't want to have to leave, but you guys are really killing me here. I hate taking people off this platform. But you're tying my hands, man. Be cool again, YouTube. Stop doing this stuff. You're going to drive all your creators out of here. And I know it's not, you're in a rock and a hard place. Like, the YouTube people they lost all this money from their advertisers, and the advertisers pay the bills, and this is what the advertisers want. But the creators are like, well, why am I working for free? Screw you. I'm going to go somewhere else. And they're starting to leave. And they're starting to take their money other places, and and it's going to change. This I think an ad-supported model is always been a shaky advertising model, because forever there was TV, it was supported by ads, and then you started paying for cable, which is supposed to remove the ads, but then they added ads back in. I never understood that. And then like movies now show ads, and so there was like this huge influx of ads, but then there's this generation of people that are 20 and under that have grown up with ad blockers and grown up with Netflix. And my brother's kids have never really even watched live TV. Everything they've done has been pre-recorded where, my brother would jump ads. So his kids didn't see all the toy ads and won all these things. Like, so advertising now, people, immediately call it spam and throw it in the spam box, or they're very, very fast to pick out ads, like the info ads that try to act like they're articles and they're really advertisements. You can sniff those things out. And so it's getting very, very difficult to advertise to this group of people that refuse to be advertised to. They're like, I'll just put an ad block on. Screw you. I'll get what I want. I'll just go download it from a torrent file. And so how do you make money when that ad model is going away? And it's going to have to be more of a listener-supported model, I think. And I think this is a sign of things to come. In 5-10 years, it's going to be very difficult to make any money advertising. The people that spend the money to advertise, I think, are not going to see it's worth it anymore, because people are so wise to calling it spam and just not paying any attention to it. So, as usual, the market will have to adjust, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. Getting away from the ad model might be a wonderful thing, because people don't have to watch ads anymore. And they also can give like suppose I find enough people to donate a couple $1,000s a month, altogether collectively enough that I can live on. Well, if I do something stupid on my page and everybody gets mad at me, it's going to the market is going to speak loudly and cut me off. Compare that now to if I do something that is not stupid, but YouTube thinks it is, I get cut off at the knees by people. I don't get to talk to my market directly. There's a third party deciding what you get and what I don't. I can't talk to you directly because I have YouTube advertisers inserting their views in. Suppose I want to sit and be foul-mouthed and cuss and explain all this stuff. I can't really do that. I can't. So, not that I ever want to do that. That's not my style. But there's a lot of my friends that do that out there, and I feel bad. Yeah, Daniel says, I don't mind ads. It keeps YouTube free. Afraid it'll become pay-per-view now. I think there's so much competition. What'll happen is someone will keep trying to find a way to do it. I'm not opposed to the ad model, but what I'm saying is there's a generation of people that are born that have never seen an ad, that jump past all this stuff. And I use YouTube Red. I pay $10 a month for YouTube Red to simply pretty much avoid the ads. I'm going to do a whole show on if it's worth it. But bottom line is, to me, it's worth it because I spend an enormous amount of time on YouTube. Also, as a creator, I feel good about watching my friends' channels and watching stuff I like, and YouTube Red pays those people directly. And I don't have to feel guilty about skipping ads and any of that. So, I don't mind paying for that. But that's $10 a month. YouTube Red. It's the same price as Netflix, basically. And I don't mind, even though I could go on a service like Kodi. And Kodi is kind of this app you can put on your Amazon stick or your Xbox or computer that lets you watch anything you ever wanted to watch for free. I still use Netflix because it's simpler. To me, free is what you get when you use groups or things like Kodi where you can stream and watch stuff. But what I found out is it's a pain in the butt to kind of piece everything together for the shows you want. And I think in time it'll come to a service it's already starting to happen with Sling TV where you can kind of pick what you want. And to me, what I usually do is I buy Netflix and Kate has Hulu. So between the two, we got pretty much anything we want to watch. If I'm feeling really cheap, I use Kodi. And say for Game of Thrones or something that's hard to... I don't want to spend $10 just on HBO to watch one show. But if I'm really, really kind of itching about it, since I'm a cord cutter, I'll just take $20 to go to Amazon and buy a whole season of something I want to watch. So it works right, and everything, I don't have to go searching for it for hours. So because I'm not paying $100 for my damn cable bill, I'm able to drop $20 when I really want to watch a season of something. I want to watch Game of Thrones. Sometimes I'll just go pay for it. So that's kind of the way I deal with it. And Daniel says he pays $100 a year for Amazon Prime. I also have Amazon Prime. I don't watch as much on Prime as Netflix, but I like Prime. It just doesn't have as much choice. But I pretty much got it for the shipping because I live on Amazon, man. I try to do an enormous amount of my shopping there, so it's worth it to me. I save a lot of money doing Prime. Hey, Vicky, there you are. I think you disappeared for a bit. We were talking about ATVs and ATV towns and vacations, and I figured maybe you would tune in on that. Vicky is a rabid ATV user, so I don't know much about that community, but someone was saying they bought a... what did they say? If you guys are... My memory just crapped out for a sec. Was it a campground someone bought and did a bunch of ATV stuff, or was it a town that does it? I can't remember. Then I talked about the one here in New Hampshire, Gorham, that basically it was like a dying, struggling town, and they decided to brand themselves as an ATV town, where you can actually... They've got hundreds of trails, and it's brought this town back to life. It was really smart for them to do that. Let's see. Yeah, it's all about bandwidth. Yeah, and that's tough too. Make sure you get good bandwidth. That's the flip side is I'm still waiting for the technology to come out where you can have good bandwidth with satellite and not pay a freaking arm and a leg. Because say I want to live out where there's not good internet. I want to live out in the woods. You can get like a satellite to upload and download, but something like I'm doing where I'm streaming on YouTube and doing hours of YouTube and uploading, you only get like 5 gigs of download for, I don't know, 50, 60 bucks. And I would burn through that in a day, you know? It's just so difficult. So I'm waiting for the technology to come out where they can have through-the-air internet fast that is reasonably, that is unlimited. Because I remember when cell phones first came out, for a short time I was selling cell phones at Verizon in between jobs, and they gave us 3G cards. So you'd like plug these cards into your laptop, and they were unlimited. You could sit there and run your whole house on them. But then they got wise that people like went crazy with them, and they were losing money paying for all this bandwidth. So they forced them out of that and started making them pay for gigs. And I had like one of the last unlimited cards that I held on to forever. I was sitting there using this card, but it was 3G, so it was still kind of slow. I don't think I could have streamed now. What do I feel about 5G? I don't even know anything about 5G. So, why, Vicky just teased us. She showed up and left. So, I don't know anything about 5G. I'm sure if you guys want to say something about that, you guys know a lot more about it than I do. I wish Unirock was around. I'd ask him. He's kind of up to date on all that stuff. Let me see what I can find out here. So, YouNow is still dead. Dang it. I don't know why I can't see anything on YouNow. It's driving me crazy. See, Unirock, if you're watching, I'm still a big black square over here, and it says, you are live, but I'm not live. I don't know what's going on, and I can't figure out why. It's not. I'm already broadcasting live. I don't know. It's really bothering me, and I can't figure out why. So, that's all I got to say about that. I'm trying to find something else here real quick. I think that's about it. All right, so I think I've sat around and chatted with you guys. Unless you have direct questions, I am going to bail out of here. And you were on here. Losty, I'm on here where? You mean I'm on a... Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to answer these questions before I go. So people are talking about the 5Gs. It's going to microwave us. Yeah, I don't think any of these things are healthy. I don't think 3G, 4G, 5G, all this stuff's probably terrible for us. It's going to kill half the damn plants, I would think. I can't imagine all the plants that survive on real subtle frequencies, how bad it screws them up. And the poor animals and wildlife. But damn it, we need high-speed internet. What are you going to do? It's like catch-22. So... Dark Horse says, I'm live. I'm live on here? Yeah, I know I'm live. I'm talking about, I'm trying to get live on YouNow. I'm trying to broadcast on other networks, and some reason YouNow is just a big black square, and I've done everything I thought right, but it doesn't want to broadcast anymore, so I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I'm going to have to get Unirock to help me, but he's always so hard to find. He's always playing his video games. I'm going to have to go into a game and play with him just to talk to him. You listening to that, Unirock? I would love to be able to stream some games. I mean, that would be like the ultimate job. Just sit around and stream and get paid for that. So one of these days I might have to stream a game just for fun. But I won't stop streaming my regular shows and all that stuff. Everything will stay as is. I am starting to do more set pieces. I did a piece about my my dad, which I finally got that chapter done. I got 2 more chapters to blow out, and then I can have freedom to do what I want again. So I got to finish a few more of my dad's chapters, and I'm done. I can. It's this big thing. Wait, Losty, you're in now. You're watching on YouNow, and it is showing. Are you actually seeing me, or is it a black square? Anybody wants to test that for me? You can go to YouNow and check to see my feed. It's under Dr. Taryn P. Lupo. But maybe it doesn't show it to me. It just blacks it out, but everybody else is seeing. If you're on YouNow and you could say something, I can't see the chat. Hi, folks. but I don't see if anyone's actually on there. I don't know. Oh no, you're playing WoW. Excuse me. He's busy playing World of Warcraft. My bad. Hi, Angelic View. How are you? Kind of showing up because I'm getting ready to leave, but I'm glad you showed up anyway. I think that's all I'm going to talk about today, and we will get back to some stuff. I've got some exciting stuff coming up Wednesday, I believe, and as a teaser for you guys, and Arizona has to stay quiet about it because she knows what I'm doing. But there is a possible crisis coming, and I am not one that goes out and screams gloom and doom, but I do believe this is real and it's something to stock up for that's going to happen in December. So this is going to be a friendly warning to be prepared a little in mid-December because something's going to happen that is unexpected, that not many people are talking about, and I'm going to have some guests on to talk about it. So be on the lookout for that Wednesday. That will happen. Oh, Daniel Becker, you say you now is up and working. So you can actually see me on there because I'm going to show you my view, Daniel. This is what it's showing me is going on in you now. That I'm completely blacked out. It's saying I'm live, but I can't see if anything's going on here. And here's the chat. So people are chatting. So if you're on you now and you're hearing this, please say, I hear you and see you. Because can you see me? So I'm trying to get better with this, but I don't know. And I'm really bad about watching my Twitch. I need to go on and check my Twitch browser. I need to figure out how to feed all the chats into one place so I can watch everything at once and not have to jump around. You can see my picture, but does that mean you can see me talking? And you mean you can see me live, what you're seeing on YouTube? On you now? Can you see everything that you would see that you're looking at right now on YouTube? I need some feedback, folks. Okay. Oh, thanks, Angelic Voice. I appreciate that. I see and hear you just like YouTube. Okay, so for some reason it's showing it that it's on me, on my end, it's not doing anything. It's just showing me black. See? So you're saying it looks different on your end. Like, are you seeing all these people chatting here? And if you are, drop me a note maybe. Unless you don't have an account, don't worry about it. But yeah, that's, if you're seeing something different than I'm seeing, then that makes a lot more sense. I just don't know why I'm not seeing it as well. All right. Well, thanks, Losty. I'll hang out for a minute to see what you guys say about that. The world ends at 5 p.m. Details tonight at 10 p.m. news. That's right. I mean, what kind of teaser is that? Oh, man. I remember I think I've lived through like 6 or 7 ends of the worlds now, so I'm not too scared. Not too worried about it. But let me take a sip here. These are cool. If you never had these, glass bottles, but they have rubber around them to protect them. They are wonderful to drink out of. I like drinking out of glass. I don't like... I will never drink out of plastic. I think it's gross. Everything tastes like plastic, and you're picking up a bunch of weird plastic chemicals. So I try to drink out of glass as much as possible. And once in a while, I drink out of stainless steel. But my copper bottle, yeah, I haven't used it in a while. I need to clean it. That's the problem with the copper, is it got really funky. So I stopped using it. I got to, I think you can use lemon water and really clean it out. I should go back to drinking my copper. I forgot about that. You know, Daniel, I was traveling for like over 3 months, 4 months or something since Kate and I broke up and stuff. And then getting back together, breaking up, doing this accordion thing with our relationship. It has been a weird, stressful time. So I just forgot about a lot of that stuff. You know, I need to get back in a routine where my life's a little calmer. All right, so I'm waiting to hear from Losty about the You Now, and then, just like always, I try to leave, and then I stay on for an extra hour. Oh yeah, if you haven't seen, here's my my new logo. This is Lupo TV. It's going to be part of my new rebranding. I've got an old school TV here. And that shot's actually current. I took that yesterday or 2 days ago. So, I'm going to start promoting it myself more as Lupo TV and not me. Who knows? One day maybe I'll get other people to make stories. He can't get into it. Okay. Okay, well, I appreciate you trying. I'm going to take a break and get some lunch, guys. So, love y'all. Thanks for the support. And, oh, if you're shopping for Christmas, Black Friday, please, 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 please go through my Amazon link first. That Amazon link is making a big difference in pay. And I really, really appreciate if you remember to do that. And remember, you have to go through my link first. It's at the bottom in the description. Before you go to Amazon. So don't go fill the shopping cart up at Amazon and then go to my link and then go back. Doesn't work. You have to go, first thing you do has to go through my link. It'll take you to one of my books and you can just ignore that, start shopping, and it'll keep track of it. And as long as you check out within a few hours, I'll get credit. So that would be great if you're going to do some Christmas shopping or Black Friday or Black Monday or whatever black is anymore. I'd really appreciate that. The Amazon link is at the bottom of all my stories. In the description, you'll see one that says, click here for the U.S. And you click the Amazon link U.S. It's in the description of any of these. Oh, man, Daniel, if you shop on Amazon 24/7, if you could start going first through my link, it doesn't cost you any extra money. It just helps the show. It's a great way to donate to the show without spending any extra money. Amazon just throws me a little kickback for sending them. But you have to do it the right way. If you go to Amazon first, it doesn't work. You have to go through my link to Amazon, and then it works. So, man, that would be huge. I would love it if you would, you'd start remembering to do that. That is and for any of you guys that are listening, they're like, I would love to donate the show, but I don't really have any extra money laying around, or I don't want to deal with Patreon or any of that. Amazon, man. Amazon is a great way. All you have to do is, it's one little click. It takes 5 seconds to remember to go do that. Because, if you look at... Let me see real quick what YouTube looks like. If you look at YouTube... Oh, no, YouTube's really not doing that either. Never mind. I was going to show you something, but I cannot. And Jonar, thanks for the donation. I really appreciate that. I'm curious what kind of games you played. Donar Games. So, I'm just waiting on Losty to tell me if he can see it or not. Move his hair out. And then I'm going to go get some lunch because I am coming off a fast and I'm kind of starving Marvin. Okay. Well, I'm not going to bore you guys. Losty, you can hit me up on the Discord. If you guys want, I might be in the Afterglow chat later. You guys want to come in and hang out? I'm also considering just taking a break. I've been working like a madman since I got here. And I'm going to take a break and maybe play a game. So if you guys want to hang out and play a game, give me a holler. And I love you all. Take care. So remember to be positive, support each other, and be nice to your cat.